Today's video is all about the reverse Nordic curl, what it is, why you should be doing it, and how to get your first one. My name's Nicky, this is QED Fitness, and before we start, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a future video. First of all, why should we even consider doing the reverse Nordic curl at all? Surely there's enough leg exercises already out there. Well, there is actually a very good reason to do it. As always, we will start with the anatomy, because if you are not basing your training on anatomy, then what are you basing it on? The quadriceps are comprised of 4 separate muscle heads. 3 of them make up the vastus group, the vastus medialis, intermedius, and lateralis. These 3 muscles are grouped together within your quads because they act exclusively to extend the knee. This is because every muscle head in the vastus group only crosses the knee. A muscle that only crosses one joint is what's known as monoarticulate. Your 4th quadricep, rectus femoris, crosses the hip as well as the knee. That means, as well as being able to straighten your knee, it is also one of the primary muscles involved in flexing the hip. Put simply, when your rec fem contracts, it is going to straighten your knee, but at the same time, it will be pulling your hip forward into flexion. Why is this important? Well, let's have a look at the bottom of the squat. To stand up out of the squat, I need to extend my knee at the same time as I extend my hip. But remember, the rec fem, when it contracts, extends the knee at the same time it flexes the hip. We have a problem here. If my rec fem powerfully contracts from this position, it is going to straighten my knee at the same time as it pulls my torso forward. That is not how you stand up out of a squat. To be able to stand up out of a squat or lunge or any movement where your knee and your hip are flexed without fighting our own muscles, our central nervous system has to get involved. Our brain is pretty smart, so it's already figured out the problem. The workaround is that our central nervous system will preferentially recruit the quadriceps that only extend the knee and do nothing at the hip. Remember, the vastus group only extend the knee, whereas the rectus femoris flexes the hip at the same time it extends the knee. So the moral of the story is that squats, leg presses, and other exercises that require you to straighten your knee when your hip is flexed are great for training the vastus group, but these movements do not create enough mechanical tension in the rectus femoris to induce hypertrophy. Or in other words, if you want your rec fem to grow, you need to train it directly. Meatloaf once said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but in this case, training 3 of your 4 quads is not a good idea. At the very least, you don't want to be neglecting rectus femoris because it is large and powerful, and for complete leg development, it cannot be missed. So, how do we train the rec fem? The title of the video might be a big clue. In exercises that straighten the knee whilst the hip stays in extension, the rectus femoris is just as, if not more active than the vastus group. So to train the rec fem, all we need is a movement that keeps the hip in extension as we straighten the knee. And the perfect exercise to do that is the reverse Nordic curl. But first, a checkpoint. Because the reverse Nordic curl requires a lot of flexibility, we first need to make sure if we can even achieve that range of motion before we put the muscle under load. The way we will test our flexibility is the rec fem stretch that I have shown in other videos. Before you even try your first reverse Nordic curl, you need to be able to put your back flat against the wall in this stretch. If you cannot do this, just work on your flexibility until you can. If you attempt it without the flexibility, you will get hurt. Once you are able to put your back flat against the wall, we can move on to the actual movement. The first thing is our feet. Do we have our toes up or do we have them flat on the ground? Honestly, there is no benefit going one way or the other, it is just a matter of personal preference. To perform a reverse Nordic curl, begin kneeling on a padded surface. Squeeze your glutes and flex your abs to brace your core. We want a straight line from the bottom of our femur to the top of our head. From here, keeping your hips extended, we are going to lean back and lower ourselves down by bending at the knee. Lower yourself down slowly and gradually as far as you can comfortably control the movement, and then return to the starting position by extending the knee. The reverse Nordic curl will scale in difficulty the lower you go into the movement. So this means the exercise gets harder the lower you go into it, so all you need to do to lower the difficulty is to reduce the range of motion. What you can do is place a box or a chair behind you, and that will guide your depth down and prevent you from falling all the way down to the bottom. Another benefit of doing it this way is that if your flexibility is lacking, it will increase in tandem with your strength levels as you progress through the range of motion. Another way to progress to your full reverse Nordic curl is to assist yourself with either a resistance band or a cable machine. The benefit of using the elastic band is that the elastic force increases in the same way that the torque at your knee does, which means the lower you go into the movement, the higher the strength demands are on your quads, but the more the band is going to help you. Using a cable machine does not have this accommodating elastic force. It is just a static force helping you the same way throughout the entire movement. This isn't the worst thing though, because you can just choose a weight on the cable setup that is sufficient to help you from the absolute bottom position, because that is where you will actually need the help. Over time, as you get stronger in the bottom position, you can reduce the amount of weight assisting you on the way up and work closer and closer to your full body weight reverse Nordic curl. So there you go my friends, that is the reverse Nordic curl. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video, comment down below on what you'd like to see next. My name's Nicky, this is QED Fitness, and remember, knowledge is power. Catch you next time.